I got the low voltage wire coming down from the attic. I spliced it on the side of this bed and it's gonna run all the way around to the back. To cover this, I'm just going to use this. I'm gonna leave it, so I'm gonna secure it with like 2 screws. If I ever need to come and adjust anything, I could just take it out with a couple screws. For the foot of the bed, I'm doing the same thing as the side. I just cut a little bit of blocking. I'm just gonna put 1. This is gonna be for like somewhat of a nightstand. Also, it's gonna hide my my low voltage. So yeah, I'm gonna screw that blocking into the wall. Screw this down with 1 screw. So where could the stud be? Yeah. Here's my little shelf. Got a nice little round over here, and then it's gonna come over to this side. So the last step of this this gap right here is a little dangerous. Girls can slip through. It's also a little tricky for Olivia to climb into the bed right now. She's just a tiny bit too small. She can make it up, but making a little bit of a step right here. And what I'm gonna do, pocket hole screws on each side, 2 of them. So it's gonna be like a little ladder step. Now it's just a matter of making it even on each side. We'll call it 4 inches. Seriously, never have a pencil or pen when I need it. 4 inches, or I'm gonna hold it flush with inside. Nice, solid. Let's do the same on the other side. Cut the last of my little ladder steps secured with pocket screws. Just gonna make it a little bit easier to get into the bed and also keep them from falling into that hole. Just about wraps up our framing part. Gotta finish the front frame. Battery. Time to cut down our windows. Arms are just long enough. Just gotta cut the height down. I think I'm gonna use my table saw for this cut. Gotta cut 1.25 inches off this piece. Rip it down, baby. Use protection. Wake up the children. Let's see if I didn't mess it up. That should work. You press the red button?
Yes.
You gotta move your hand though. We are drawing the window. So what I did is put a string right in the middle of where I want to make my arch and then just follow it with a pencil all the way around. And I'm gonna cut this part. What do you think?
Good.
Time to put a couple of these 1/4 inch plywood pieces on to wrap my frame. One issue right here, I have these bolts sticking out, so I gotta drill holes for them. Now, I could easily just kind of measure. But I think what I'm gonna do is take a little bit of chalk. If you got some kids, lather the bolt up here. And you're gonna put your plywood piece where you want it. And then just kind of tap it. It's hard to see, but got 2 hole locations. I'm gonna drill a bigger hole than I need, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm gonna use these as reference. Work it around. Yep, smoking. 1 hole down. Let's take it over to our frame. All right, moment of truth here. Not bad. Not bad. Cool. All right, now it's time to cut my window out and drill a couple holes to give my jigsaw blade some room. Take your time with these jigsaw cuts. I know it can take quite a while, but you want to make sure you go nice and slow to get a nice smooth line on your window. There you go. First window template cut. Gonna sand it down. Use this as my trace. All right, gonna dry fit the window before I buy this shape. Although not a whole lot of wood to work with. Pretty happy. Oh, I'm gonna have to get creative with these side areas. But yeah, it looks pretty clean there. I'll just line it up with this edge as close as I can. The top doesn't matter as much because I'm gonna put a molding on the top. We pretty much got our window. It's just a matter of framing this out. So this is the board that's gonna be on the bed side of the window. I like held it in place where it's gonna sit, and I measured, or I didn't measure, I traced the outline of the frame. I'm using that to determine my center point. So right here and right here, either side of, not my window, but my frame. So that'll determine where my middle is. This is my center point of my opening. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my first cut piece, or my template, and I'm gonna use this as my guide. So my trace point is a little off. My hole is gonna be 3/4 of an inch higher. I swear I planned it a million times, and for some reason my cut is still not where I want it to be, but so I have a center mark on top and bottom of my stencil. So I'm gonna line my straight edge with the top, center, and then I'm on my center point. So I'm gonna mark my center line. Center, window, center, trace. Cut. Moment of truth, we're gonna put the face of our window on here. Nothing's ever cut perfect, so I'm gonna have to patch some areas and figure out the inside, but Winnie Daddy DIY, we'll figure it out. Here she goes. So this is just a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. I'm using 1 inch brad nails to secure this window face. I already got the front side of our window in. Now this back side's a little bit trickier, so we made a bunch of cuts in the corners to account for this little bench on the side. We're gonna have a gap in between this window, and still debating on what to do with it, but let's see if they fit. Moment of truth. I'm gonna mark where my nailing points are so I don't shoot nails into this electrical right here. Mount up! Oh, shit. Let's try this on this side. This is one of those trial and error things. It did take me a couple times to get this fit just right. I did have to trim down the window just slightly to make it flush with the front side of the window. Like the window?
That's Mama.
What shoes are you wearing?
My shoe.
So in between the two window panels, I'm gonna have to curve a board to sit on the inside. How I'm gonna achieve that is by cutting a bunch of little slits all along the back side of this piece. So when I bend it, this plywood will essentially be a single ply instead of 3. So it'll be nice and flexible. And then I'll show you how I nail it up there. Just gotta make my little grooves. I'm guessing there's more efficient ways to do this. I'm just going every 1/4 inch or so with my slit. So now I have grooves on the back end of that piece. What's up? So to do the inside of the window, the curved part, I'm putting this blocking in with little pieces of 2x4. The space between these two planks is 3.5 inches, so it works out perfectly. I'm gonna put the blocking all the way along. The girls are just helping me color them before I put them up. Now I just gotta nail these blocking in. Just be careful not to send a nail through your finger. Now I'll take my flexible piece of plywood. Arches are beautiful. So now I'll just use that blocking to secure this board. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna take a flush router bit, and just run it all the way along here, make a huge mess to make it flush with the outside window. Gonna have to just kind of putty it, sand it, paint it, and cross your fingers that it looks good. In hindsight, I might have added more blocking just to give more fixation points for my curved piece of plywood, so it would be flush with the window. So my curved piece is a little too big, a little overhang, so I'm going to use a flush trim bit and cut it even with the face of the window. It's going to make a nice mess here. Snowing. Gotta fill this little gap area here. Just using scrap pieces of wood. This This isn't super important. It's just, you know, covering holes here. All right, we're talking trim now. I got these outside corner trim pieces from Lowe's. Got a 1-inch one and a 1/2-inch one. I'm gonna trim the window. I'm gonna trim bottom of this where the ceiling meets the side panel. Clean everything up, add some little filler pieces here and there to the window, little gaps. Try to make it look clean before I come in and sand everything and paint. Yeah, getting towards the finish line, at least with the top part. But still a lot of work to do, so let's get to it. So all my cutting equipment is in the garage downstairs. I'm kind of over it, so I brought my skill saw up here. I'm gonna mark everything and cut it up here because I'm over walking up and down. Let's get to it. Really, the trim process is the same throughout this whole bed frame. Just measure, cut, and nail. For the sides of my windows, I'm just using these 3/4 inch trim pieces that I found at Lowe's just to match these outside corners on the bottom and other side. This just gives it a more finished look. So I got all the trim done for these windows. Makes it look a lot cleaner. Outside corner pieces, they're like 1/2-inch outside corner trim pieces from Lowe's. Wrap the whole thing, cut that curved piece flush with the face. Got these little filler pieces on the side. It's kind of coming together. Now I just have to fill all my nail holes, fill all these gaps with some wood filler, clean it up, sand it all down. Sand that mother effer down. Just got little places like this corner right here. Got to figure out something creative just to kind of cover that area. But yeah, the bottom looks nice and clean. Top looks pretty clean. Yeah, almost ready for sanding. All right, time to prep for the messy stuff.